Hey guys, and welcome back to my 8th installment of my top 10 players of 2017, and we're into the top 3, and it is going to be Violentpanda of Gale Force Esports. And since this is the first player from Gale Force Esports that has been featured on my top 10, counting from 10 to 1, I'm going to go through all of Violentpanda's results of the year very briefly. And it's just to, show just exactly why he is ahead of everybody else that's been in the list so far, and even shock horror ahead of Squishy Muffins. I know all of you guys in the comments of the Squishy video are amazed that Squishy's not number 1. Well, not all of you, but a lot of people are amazed that Squishy's not number 1. I think that most of the people who are amazed are probably just only tuning in to the series for that video, and they don't understand what exactly the parameters are that I'm using to determine who's the best players in my top 10. But they're probably not back for this video, so they won't even have clarification on why Squishy wasn't top 3 and why Violentpanda is. But without any further intro, let's just get into the details. So of course, Violentpanda has actually been playing for Gale Force Esports for the entire year, although the lineup changed just not long into 2017, and it wasn't a good start for Violentpanda. He was playing with Pashi and with Chaussette, both players who have now moved on to other great teams. So all three of those players, although they started the year not doing too well together, they've all gone separate ways and I think improved. So that's a pretty cool situation. But they did lose in the RLCS Season 3 playoffs 4-2 to Mocket, who back then was K-Dop, Mystic and Fairy Peak. So not a great result, because that eliminated them from any RLCS Season 3 contention before the LAN even happened. So we didn't have any further results for RLCS Season 3 to talk about. Also, DreamHack Summer was the first time that K-Dop and Violentpanda Turbo Pulse, so the current Gale Force Esports GFE that we're all used to seeing, that's the first tournament that they all teamed up at. And I've not mentioned this tournament for any other players in my top 10 because they didn't feature, and also because I don't think this tournament ranks anywhere near as highly as the other LANs throughout the year, because there wasn't as good competition there. But even with the competition that was there, they fell to second place to Flipside Tactics, Marky, Mystic and Cuxer. That was Mystic's first appearance for Flipside at a LAN as well. So both these lineups new, and Flipside were able to come out on top. And although they have never lost, I believe, to Flipside since then in a LAN or a playoff game, it was that second place curse beginning, if you will, as we had second place for Violentpanda GFE at DreamHack Summer. And the same story at X Games, after a 3-0 win over G2, a 3-0 win over Flipside, and then a 3-2 win over Envy, who turned out to be their sort of online rivals for a long time after this result. They lost 3-4 in the final to NRG. Fireburner, Jacob and Garrett G were able to take down Gale Force Esports. And of course, every other Gale Force Esports result is just going to be K-Dot, Violentpanda, Turbo Pulse from here on. So that's just to clarify for anybody who isn't aware. They did play the whole rest of the year 3v3 together. But moving on, another second place, not terrible, but not what they want. To DreamHack Atlanta, we have 3-2 GFE over Muffin Men, 3-0 GFE over Mocket, which was Pashi, Fairy Peak and Freaky, and 4-3 over Envy, so another victory over Envy, Devo, Remco and Greasymeister. But then a 3-4 loss to the Muffin Men, who they'd beat earlier in the tournament. They did come second again, and again by a single game, so things are not all going too great for Violentpanda for GFE. But first win of the year for Violentpanda was Universal Open, and there were some pretty respectable results. They were able to take down DapG, that's Dapper and Garrett, 2-0 in the upper bracket, and then 3-0 versus Methods, Metsonorus and Magnus in the winter finals, and then 4-2 in the grand finals versus that same team, Metsonorus and Magnus of Method. So finally a victory for Violentpanda in a final. But unfortunately he didn't have his whole team there to share it with him. Turbo Pulse wasn't there because it was a 2v2 tournament, and Turbo didn't actually make the Universal Open LAN because he got knocked out alongside Mystic before in the online playoffs, so they didn't even make it. But this was still winning ways for Violentpanda, so things are still looking pretty good at this stage in the year. Although that one 3v3 big win had eluded them. But it wasn't to elude them that much longer, as the playoffs run in RLCS Season 4 was a good one. They were able to take down Flipside 4-1, and then take down PSG 4-1. a team that beat them in the group stage, and then also take down Method 4-3, which was another revenge match because Method also beat them in the group stage. So GFE going into RLCS Season 4 as the #1 seed, a lot of people's pick for best team in the world at this stage, although Cloud9 fans would have something to say about that. But it wasn't to be as easy as that, as the pit stop at Gnarly before RLCS Season 4 LAN did have them losing 3-2 to PSG, so that, you know, it hadn't just been a complete revenge story, you know, get the revenge on PSG's win against them in RLCS group stage, beat them, smash them in playoffs. PSG actually, you know, came back and they had a one-up over GFE again, so it was just not a good time if you're a GFE fan. And then it got even worse, where they lost 3-0 to Ghost, who are, you know, by no means a bad team, but certainly not a team that you'd expect to put up a real fight against GFE, and they beat them 3-0. So that was just GFE straight out of the tournament without even winning a series. Just 2 wins and 6 losses. Out they go. Not the best, you know, prelude to RLCS Season 4. And a lot of people were pretty worried about GFE. Personally, I wasn't. I thought they were still the favourites. I thought that RLCS Season 4 was still going to go to them. But, you know, it was still going to be a tough fight. And that fight began at RLCS Season 4 LAN with a 3-1 win over G2, who they continued to look, who were, you know, continuing to struggle at that time. And then a 3-0 win over Ghost, so they did get the revenge there. And then a 4-3 win over Method in the winners finals, one of the best series I've ever seen. And then a 4-0 win over Method in the grand finals. So, you know, absolute obliteration of Method. Shame that it wasn't closer in the grand finals, but it's often the case in grand finals of big tournaments. And, you know, finally that 3v3 victory that GFE had wanted on a LAN this whole year, it finally arrived in the second last LAN of the year, and they were obviously going to be pretty happy with that. And, you know, Violentpanda's first RLCS win, although not his first grand final. He did make grand final in Season 2, which was late 2016. But yeah, everything's looking pretty good at this point for Violentpanda, and they go into E-League again as the favourites, and it's looking great. 3-0 win over Chiefs. 3-1 win over Ghost, so that matchup, although they lost to Ghost and Gnarly, they've dominated it since then. A 3-0 win over G2, so again they're able to beat G2 at RLCS LAN and again at E-League. And then a 4-1 win over Cloud9, so that's actually revenge from way earlier in the year when the Muffin Men, which is the same team as Cloud9, were able to beat GFE in the DreamHack Atlanta tournament. So it was a long time coming to see that rematch of GFE versus Cloud9, and GFE were able to come out on top. But then, to the surprise of everybody, G2 were able to take down GFE 4-3 in the grand finals of E-League. And, you know, even with that result going badly for GFE, another second place and another second place for Violentpanda. For I think Violentpanda and KDOP have the most second places, even more than Turbo, the other member of GFE, because Turbo, of course, won Season 3 LAN, where KDOP came second place and Violentpanda came second at RLCS Season 2 LAN. So they're the cursed duo, and that's, you know, partly why it was good to see them winning Universal Open, because they had even more second place finishes than Turbo Pulsar. But yeah, overall, I wanted to go through that. I know it's taken a while, but that's just because there's so many noteworthy results for Violentpanda and for GFE, and they need to be mentioned. Again, just a quick summary of results throughout the year. Tournament-wise, we see 5th in RLCS Season 3 online playoffs, 2nd place at DreamHack Summers, 2nd place at X Games, 2nd place at DreamHack Atlanta, and then 1st place at Universal Open, 1st place at RLCS Season 4 online playoffs, 5th place at Gnarly, the only, again, the second 5th place for Violentpanda this year, but apart from that, it's a sea of 1st and 2nds, followed by 1st place at RLCS Season 4 LAN and 2nd place at E-League. So hugely stacked year for Violentpanda. I think it should be fairly obvious, even to die-hard fans of the other players in my list, why this guy deserves to be ahead of all of them, because it's just an absolute clear cut decision in my mind, at least. It was so easy to decide who my top 3 were going to be, and I'm sure a lot of you will be able to guess based on that who the remaining 2 are, but probably the order will be a little bit harder to guess. Another couple of stats I'll throw at you guys is Violentpanda's win-loss for the year: 20 wins and 7 losses in series versus other top teams. That's a positive 13 win-loss. Before this on my list, Gimmick had the best with +6, so miles ahead in that category. And, you know, he's the 3rd best in this in my list. The 2 players I have rated higher than him do have slightly better win-losses, but only slightly. And as for prize money, Violentpanda $67,260 That's you know, a good 30,000 ahead of fourth place in prize money, JNaps. So yeah, just again a huge gulf. Just shows how successful 2017 has been for Violentpanda and for the whole of Gale Force Esports. And that number actually does put him second place in the prize money rankings. So he's slightly ahead of one of his rivals, who I've decided to put ahead of him in the overall standings. But you know, it's only again by 1,000, or actually closer to $500. So super close in that category. But yeah, that's the summary of results. I'm sorry if this has just been a huge information fest, but it's you know, it's an astonishing year for Violentpanda and for Gale Force Esports, and it has to be broken down in detail. You have to see all the results back to back, and so on and so on, before you can fully appreciate how dominating a year they've had. And even, you know, we might have had NRG at some point being considered best team in the world because they were able to take down GFE at X Games, followed by Muffin Men at DreamHack Atlanta, and then Method, of course, were always in the discussion despite not having LAN results, and PSG and Ghost upsetting them in early. Everybody was kind of sleeping on GFE's ability because they had failed to get that #1 spot at a LAN. And you know, if you look at all the results in detail, you see that no, we really shouldn't be. It shouldn't even be a discussion of you know, who's the top 3 players in the world of 2017. It is as clear as it comes, and that's why I look at the comments of my 4th place video for Squishy, and I think, guys, come on, I think I was being generous here. I think you could make a case for Squishy being as low as 6th or 7th. It's really that close between my 4th place and my 7th or 8th place. I think it's super close in that little group of players. You could make an argument for just about any of them being number 4, but I don't think you can make a case for anybody being top 3 apart from the 3 that I've got. And you know, I think you should all be able to guess who the remaining 2 players are going to be. But the order is going to be very interesting. I'm looking in the comments. If one of the comments of this video is K'd Up and another one is Turbo Pulsa, and whichever one gets the most upvotes, I'll take that as your vote on who you think is going to be number 1. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. Overall, I'm pretty convinced of my decision, but that's going to have to wait till tomorrow, and then you guys can see, and you guys can all complain or agree. I don't really mind. I don't really care. This has been just a bit of fun, you know, doing all of the data mining and finding out all these results, saying, oh my goodness, yes, GFE and Violentpanda really did crush it this year. I don't think I even appreciated how dominating they've been, despite, you know, having them as my RLCS Season 4 online or LAN, favorites, without a previous 3v3 LAN win in the year. But anyway, I'm going to stop there because I've talked for long enough already, and I will just say it again. Thank you so much for everybody who's stuck around, decided to watch a video of a European player. I know you guys only want to hear about North American players. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't worry about it. EU bias. No, or rather, no EU bias, no NA bias here. I'm sure we're all completely robotic and making only good decisions. But anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow for my number 2. And until then, take care, and another thank you for watching.